Beyond Your Backyard is brought to you in part by Montgomery County in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia. Montgomery County, Virginia. Go to town.
Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy, and welcome to Scottsdale, Arizona.
My name is Erik Hastings. Yeah, that's me. And for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to travel. And I still do today. Airlines, hotels, cruises, new places, delicious food. I love all of it. And that's why I've been traveling the world professionally, doing the very same things you can do for more than a decade. So please consider this a personal invitation to join me each week on my mission to get you traveling more than ever before. Because while the world is a pretty big place to explore, your next vacation is waiting to be discovered not just around the globe, but perhaps just around the corner. Let me introduce you to the places, people, and secrets I've discovered that remind me just how exciting it is to be alive, and hopefully will inspire you to get out of the house and into your next great adventure. I am Erik the Travel Guy, and this is Beyond Your Backyard.
Thank you for watching, and welcome to the American Southwest. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, because of the sensory mystique I felt when I first visited here more than 10 years ago. So I decided to return to learn why this very spot is so incredibly unique. Now, some of you may know Scottsdale was established in the early 1950s, but native people had been on this land for thousands of years prior, and they had reverence for place. Today, Scottsdale is charming, beautiful, it's sophisticated and rugged, yet approachable and friendly. On today's episode, we'll learn more about the story of the Old West versus the New. We're going to take you to a nature preserve that's so visually spectacular you'll feel humbled yet right at home. We will soar 5,000 feet above the valley floor. We'll sample authentic Southwestern cuisine, and we're going to meet artists whose stories are as wild as the West itself. Put on another pot of coffee. You're going to love this one. Let's get started.
So here's the state of Arizona, which became one of the United States back in 1912. It's the 6th largest state in the United States by area, with a population of about 7 million people. The Mexican border is here, and Flagstaff is located right here. The capital of Arizona is Phoenix, located right here. And right next door, just to the east, is the town of Scottsdale, right in the heart of the Sonoran Desert.
You know, Sky Harbor International Airport is the largest airport in the state of Arizona, and it's located about 20 minutes from downtown Scottsdale. If you're flying private, well, you might want to use Scottsdale Airport. It's one of the most premier private airports in the state as well. Now, both are accessible via shuttle bus or taxi, but I suggest you rent a car. That way you can explore. Oh, I think we're merging. Merging.
And while we're on the subject, the south rim of the Grand Canyon is located about a 4-hour drive from Scottsdale. But defining the spirit of the West was one of my first questions on this particular trip. That's why I dropped in on Western Spirit, Scottsdale's Museum of the West.
It's the endless kind of dreaming that you have when you're looking at a landscape and, you know, the clouds are just rolling. So it's a lot of different things like sensory, you know, Western Spirit. It might be the smell of the rain with the creosotes.
Oh, come on.
It's just, you know.
I knew we were going to get along. You say things like that. I love that. We talk about the geography alone, just the geography.
Just the geography.
Right? We realize, well, first of all, Arizona is what, the 6th largest state in the United States?
In the United States.
Right. So
it's vast.
It's massive. We think big states, we think Alaska, we think Texas. We forget that Arizona is huge. So you get to see those breathtaking landscapes.
The panoramas.
Daily.
It's a place that is kind of this mythical West with the sunrises and the sunsets and the brilliant skies that we have here, you know, depicted here in photography. We have it on canvases and video.
Why did artists discover this part of, why here?
Well, back in the 1940s, there was an artist, a Native American artist named Lloyd Kiva-New, and he started working with other artists, and they started this collaborative in Old Town Scottsdale. It was called the Scottsdale Craftsmen, and then from there it just grew into all of the hundreds of galleries.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the Old West versus the New West. What in the world are we talking about here?
So what we do here at the museum is we really think about all the different ways, and we use stories to tell the history and what was it really like, and based upon whose perspectives. There are always multiple perspectives, and the West is a very multifaceted place with a lot of contested history.
Right.
So we say we bridge the old West and all of those stories with new and what's happening today, like water rights and water issues. So we're coming up on our 4th year. So we opened without any collections, so everything came to us on loans. And over the past 4 years, we started to receive actual permanent collections gifted to the museum. And this is one example of a Hopi pottery collection. We are a Smithsonian affiliate museum.
What does that
as
mean?
well.
By the way, I saw that. What does that mean?
Many pieces are coming from the Smithsonian. And this is John Coleman and all of his pieces. Their regalia, their clothing of native peoples, that it's all historically accurate. And this is our collection of Abe Hayes' Spirit of the West. About 50 years ago, started doing this and looking at areas like the saloon, even prisoner-made art like these bits and spurs and the horsehair. So all of our exhibitions, we may have pieces like in this show that date back to the mid-1800s. But then we have, very contemporary paintings that were done, 2 years ago. We get a lot of visitors here that have seen the West growing up and feel like they're a part of it because of the Hollywood movies and the TV shows. I've seen people become really emotional and say, I grew up on these movies.
These are photos.
Edward Sheriff Curtis, he created these volumes of the North American Indian and the different tribes. So the image is actually processed and printed on the glass.
On the glass?
They're called gold tones. In many cases, these are some of the only photos known.
Geographic area of the Navajo, or where?
Is Arizona,
it's Arizona
and New Mexico,
and into New Mexico.
a little bit into Nevada, and the Hopi are central Arizona.
Central Arizona, that's right, okay. These are amazing.
And our mission makes us able to do a variety of exhibitions from different periods that speak to that drive of the Western spirit, that optimism, wanting in some cases a new beginning that really makes you realize the sheer tenacity of people, and the willpower to want to change and change their lives for the better.
So people who have been to Scottsdale before, 5 years ago,
Didn't experience it.
they
It was
didn't
not
come
here.
It wasn't here. Tricia, this is awesome. It was good to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Very nice to meet you.
It's worth noting that this museum is within walking distance of the Scottsdale Historical Museum, the Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art, and the Scottsdale Center for Performing Arts, all of which are situated close to Main Street in Old Town. I enjoyed feeling a sense of community here. After all, the population of Scottsdale is only about 250,000 locals.
I love downtowns like this. I'm by all means not a shopaholic, but I love to people watch and watch them on their own discovery journey. I also like art and finding out what inspires the artists. And don't forget, there's real commerce going on here. Local business owners dedicated to selling products and services to visitors and locals alike. It's all part of the thread that make up the proverbial blanket or chief's blanket of Scottsdale.
If you're not sure where to start, well, start in Old Town. And soon, you'll work up an appetite. Not to worry. Scottsdale has about 800 restaurants from which to choose. But I'd heard chef-owner and Arizona native Brett Vibber was really doing spectacular things on the plate. So we drove out to Cave Creek, a little community just north of Scottsdale, to Cartwright's Modern Cuisine. Help describe what foraging is.
Harvesting what Mother Nature is providing for us. It's a celebration of the earth, and it's a natural bounty, the nature's harvest. And it's great and awesome to have beautiful relationships with farmers, but to have a beautiful relationship with the earth and nature and the respect for it, to be out and harvesting what it's providing for us. It's how generations and eons of people lived here before us.
What are we looking at here?
All right, what you have is a local bison tartare. It's on a saguaro seed and mesquite flour chip. On top's just a miso-cured duck egg yolk. You shave it on top. Some smoked juniper ponzu, and really want you to taste the earthiness of everything.
It's light. Where's that citrus coming from?
The citrus comes from a little bit of Moldavian dragon balm.
That's phenomenal.
We don't use any poppy seeds or sesame seeds here. We use saguaro seeds.
Wow, there's some heat there, too.
Yeah, Fresno chilies.
People don't realize how versatile bison really can be.
Right.
And not to be afraid of it.
That's the land animal that was already here. Arizona's divided in half, north and southwise, by which way the water goes to the Colorado or to the Verde. So we're looking at spots that are getting snowpack and raining a lot and seeing which way.
All right, what do we have?
Adams River sockeye salmon, some Navajo steamed white flint corn, and some Pima wheat berries. So for me, this is a celebration of all the native cultures. They were so much more sustainable than we have been out here. No waste in their culture, and that's something that I can strive to try and be more like. Nearly 60% of the world's produce gets thrown away before it ever gets to market.
That's crazy.
That's a catalyst, that's a drive. How do we do things differently?
Is there a perfect bite?
Mountain sky carrots, mountain sky pea tendrils, on top's just a little bit of sweet corn aioli. This is the roe that's cured on top, just a little bit of aioli. So again, everything's working together.
This corn tastes like savory caramel. I've never had anything like it. I'm from Iowa, have a lot of corn.
Absolutely.
I get a 38-inch waist for good reason. You have to put some effort into that. That's amazing. How did you make it?
In a big fire pit, 5 feet wide, 5 feet deep, 10 feet long. 150 ears of corn with the stalks. And burn a fire for about 15 hours to get the ground hot and hard and baked, and cover it with dirt and dump about 20 gallons of water down it and let it steam and smoke and do its thing for about 12 hours. Hang them up for about 6 weeks until they're all the way dry, and then you can remove the corn from the kernel. You start to see why it takes almost a year to come up with a dish here.
I suppose so.
Where Arizona and the Scottsdale area, especially the Scottsdale area, has become this niche area of so many chef-driven concepts. We can grow things in the dirt 10, 11, sometimes 12 months a year. This is the Sonoran Desert. I mean, you can look out all of my windows right now, and we're full of life. It's vibrant, it's beautiful. There's much, much different desert than the Mojave Desert that's right next to us, or the Sahara Desert, or Gobi Deserts are all full of sand and are typically that way. But this is a desert that's full of life, and it's full of water. You have to know where to find it, and so do the animals. And
what do we got here?
This is a deconstructed blueberry pie. Skeet and pepita streusel, some wild berries that we've collected over the summer and preserved. There's huckleberries, mulberries, blackberries, raspberries. We just honey candy the almonds there. A little bit of whipped goat cheese, a honey, lavender, and huckleberry ice cream.
Well, bon appetit.
Get a little touch.
Wow. Talk about really jumping off your tongue like that. This is crazy business. This is delicious. Thank you for this.
I'll be here.
Phenomenal.
Our thanks to Brett, his wife, and his amazingly dedicated team. A recurring theme of our culinary discussion was sourcing local ingredients. And one of the many Scottsdale charms is outdoor sensory immersion. So I decided to take a nature walk and meet up with my new BFF, Chris Anderson, from Arizona Outback Adventures.
When people come out for the first time and they see this and they step into this, what are they surprised by?
We are the wettest desert in the world, and so I think people are surprised by the greenery and how much plant life and wildlife and the views are just spectacular.
There's a lot of water out here.
Yeah, we actually average about 10 to 14 inches of rain a year, which if you look at the technical definition of a desert, it's 10 inches or less. So we kind of ride that line every year.
What time of year should they come and visit?
Springtime is the best. Just like anywhere else, you're gonna get wildflowers out here, which is another huge surprise. If we get a little bit of decent rain, wildflowers pop up that have been dormant for years. It's just gorgeous.
If you're not a serious biker or a serious hiker, why do they come?
When you can just look at the map and go, where is it 72 degrees in December? That starts the game. We have a combination of beauty that they don't expect, weather that they love, and then the opportunity because the preserve is wrapped around Scottsdale so tightly. Being the wettest desert in the world, we've got 2,000 native plant species.
Wow.
And a lot of them only grow in this desert, including the real iconic one here, the big saguaro cactus.
What's the actual name of the preserve?
Yeah, so it's the McDowell Sonoran Preserve. It started in the early 90s. The residents of the city of Scottsdale really were starting to voice their opinion about wanting to set aside land, and the initial part of the preserve was actually donated by the city.
I was going to ask you, how do you describe how big this really is?
The McDowell Sonoran Preserve is actually 36 times larger than Central Park.
Oh, come on.
And when you talk about it in reference to the city of Scottsdale, it's a third of the landmass of the city. You know, there's multiple trailheads, there's 200 plus miles of mountain biking and hiking trails. You've got rock climbing. You can ride equestrian in the park. And like we were talking about earlier, you can access it from many different points in Scottsdale. So you can go on a quick hike in the morning and, be at five-star dining for lunch.
So, are there other places in the United States that look and feel like this preserve?
That combination of an arid landscape, but that gets a lot of water, and I know that's a strange thing, but that combination creates plants and environment that has adapted specifically to this area. Every cactus out here blooms a flower that's just gorgeous, and that really takes people by surprise. It's incredibly unique.
Some of these saguaros, how old are they?
They're averaging, all of them, about a couple hundred years old, 200 to 300 years or so.
Not only do we have the space, but it is very pristine. I don't see trash, I don't see... apparently somebody is working really hard to make sure that we are respecting the landscape.
Because it's so dry, nothing degrades or deteriorates. Since the 80s, there's been a huge campaign about litter and trash because it just doesn't go away. An orange peel will stay out here for 20 years on the ground. It doesn't just biodegrade because there's no bio.
Are we gonna see wildlife while we're out here? Besides, a couple of attractive fellas like you and I.
When the sun is rising or sun is setting, you do have a good chance of running into some gorgeous animals out here. There's mule deer, there's javelina, quail, there's bobcat out here.
Snakes?
You can see snakes in the warmer months, but one of the nice things is all the activities we do out here scare them away. They feel the vibrations in the ground.
Wait a minute, I think I see, shh, quiet, everybody quiet down. Right over here, there's a television producer in his natural habitat.
That's right.
Shh, don't startle him.
You don't see that very
No,
often.
you really don't. Look at that
This
guy.
is rare.
I mean, look at his coat. Shh, don't scare him.
Some of the main trailheads out here, like the Gateway Trailhead, there's an interpretive center there where you can go through and look at some of the exhibits, follow a very easy nature trail with some interpretive signs. Someone can take you out, custom tailor a trip for you, and you can picture all sorts of scenarios in your head that you've seen in movies and, crossing the West. And this is the kind of terrain that people were looking for to get out from the East Coast and into the West and start a new life. And you can put yourself in this scenario and really imagine what it's like because there's wide open spaces and nothing's changed.
That brings us back to the Old West versus the New West, which is the New West and what New Scottsdale is all about. It's all right here.
That close proximity is probably what defines that difference.
Yeah.
You can step into the Old West, but then you can step right into the New and dust off and have a great meal or see an art exhibit.
Chris, good to meet you. Thank you, man.
Getting outdoors to climb, bike, or kayak is just one of the many reasons people come here. No, I didn't conduct a scientific survey, but they also come here for golf, spa, and art. And because of the natural beauty of the scenery, it's no wonder there is a thriving art community here. For you not-so-creatives, imagine transferring an image in your mind and committing it to paper, pottery, or performance, or even sculpture. So I ventured a little off the beaten path to Cattle Track.
Come on, we'll go into the gallery.
It's just a cool space.
In history, there's a lot of big stories, and the big stories always get noticed.
Right.
It's the little stories. So those are the stories that we try to capture with our historic preservation here. This space we build to showcase the works that we produce here or works that we have some association with, or artists. We have a small stage, small theater. We do a music program. We have a lecture series. We run this as a not-for-profit special arts campus.
When visitors come to Scottsdale for the first time, what do you tell them to go and see?
The Musical Instrument Museum. MIM, we call it. The most beautiful theater in town, and sort of a Smithsonian of the world's music. The Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art.
Yep.
So, yeah, come on, we'll walk back through. We'll go see the studios. If somebody has an idea and they don't know how to get it made, they come and see us. We have made magic tricks for circus clowns. We have made circus props. We have made parade floats. We moved Justice O'Connor's house block by block to the Historical Society. Come on, I'll show you what I'm working on currently. This is some of my handiwork. These are pencil drawings.
Look at these.
I do color pencil on plywood. I'm blind in an eye, so I don't have depth perception to paint anymore.
Really?
So I took to pencil drawing. I am drawing dresses from the 1950s. This is a drawing that takes a couple years. It is a drawing of my own personal 1940 Farmall tractor. It's 8 feet by 10 feet.
I was going to say 8 by 10, okay.
It's color pencil on 3 sheets of plywood.
How long did this take?
2 years.
2. visitors come and visit, they literally could just walk into the studio
Absolutely.
and say hello?
If someone comes here to seek us out and seek this experience out, we need to be open and available to them to share.
I have small children. I want to introduce them to as many experiences as I can, art, of course, being one of them. And you find that sometimes even the adults are intimidated. And in a time when we are staring at our telephones and we're staring at our televisions, which is fine. I have no problem with media. That's great. But now more than ever, these places are needed more than ever.
As I said earlier, people don't need art, and I won't get on any high horse and explain all the reasons why people should have culture in their life, but I do believe it does enrich us.
Well, I mean, you're correct that we don't need art, but the reality of it is if we stop to think, if we removed that from our society, that's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah, and then, you know, what is art? Is it, you know,
is
it
it
could be food, it could be where you live, exactly, all that stuff.
I'm really glad we did this. Again, it's really great to meet you. Thank you for this. Mark, I really appreciate it.
Mark's passion for his craft is almost inescapable, which was yet another common theme I discovered here. The locals are warm and inviting to visitors, which includes my hot air balloon captain. Yes, it was a must-do on my list. The panoramic views were not just spectacular, but awe-inspiring.
How do you describe what people are going to feel when they're up there?
I was 15 years old when my dad put me in a balloon basket. And it didn't feel like, you know, I was leaving the ground in a balloon. It felt like the earth was falling away from me. I was lit on fire immediately, just went, I want to do more of this.
When they fly for the first time, what are they most surprised by?
The calm and the serenity. I take people up every day and they think they're really going to be terrified of the heights. And about 5 minutes into it or less, they look at me and go, all right, I get it. It's no big deal.
Unbelievable.
We process tall building, suspension bridge, the roof line, and looking over, and it freaks us out.
Right.
In a balloon, you're not connected to the earth. Therefore, you have no relative sense of your real altitude.
Has it happened before? So you have to come back down?
It'd be a rare day that I'd actually have anyone so freaked out that we had to terminate the flight. More often than not, I'm able to give them instruction. I help them take over the aircraft and get their head out of their fear, and now they're doing something. I am responsible first and foremost to my passenger safety. You aviate, navigate, communicate in that order.
And how high are we going?
Average flight at some point, gonna go about 1,000 feet above the ground, but not at all uncommon to go a mile or more. We have to get from a point A to an intended point B.
I love the word intended.
I want to go,
right?
Generally speaking.
Got it.
But this is it's an inexact science, but it is truly a science. And the layers of air, as you climb at different altitudes, are stratified.
How long is that average flight?
We're aiming for roughly an hour of flight. We fly mornings here year-round.
Year-round. Is the landing a little bumpy sometimes?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna let you know you're alive.
Makes it fun. Thank you, sir.
What a fantastic modern-day way to enjoy some of the very same vistas seen by people thousands of years ago. The panoramic views were not just spectacular, but awe-inspiring.
So now you see, there is a difference between the Old West and the New West, and that's exactly what you'll find here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Thank you for exploring beyond your backyard. Hey, look at that. We're in a Schlotzsky's. That's interesting. I think Kevin's going to drive. I'm just going to sit in the back seat and hold this plate and take the while. I'm not crying. I'm not crying on this show. Forget it. I might, though, just a little after that.
Right. And so carbon dating has been...
Or my ex-mother-in-law. That's another matter.
That's a way to go. Yeah. But, you know, if you ask her, she'll tell you that these were seedlings when...
Right. when she was a child.
Yeah, so.
Oof, I need a biscuit. A little javelina and eggs.
Made a flock of life-size bronze sheep and then posted them in real pelt and sent them off to Texas.
Oh, that was for me.
Oh, did you get those?
It was nice. Yeah. Thanks for sending those
thanks for sending the check in a timely manner, because we bought a lot of beer.
I feel like I'm about ready to take off with my shirt here. I think we're going to roast marshmallows later on. It's going to be really exciting. They call that filling up a balloon, not blowing up a balloon. Just thought you'd like to know. Yes, I love it. Yes, yeah. Are you kidding me? We did it. It's a tough job. Somebody has to do it. That somebody is me. Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy. You know, I've been traveling the world professionally for more than a decade, and guess what I've learned? Is that fantastic experiences await you in every corner of the globe, and you don't always have to travel that far to uncover them. So join me each week as we go on and off the beaten path, meet really interesting people, and sample delicious food. And you never know, might even have a waterfall like that. We're exploring beyond your backyard.
Beyond Your Backyard is brought to you in part by Montgomery County in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia. Montgomery County, Virginia. Go to town.